I ran until I burned 1,000 calories, and this is what happened. Sean here from Fit Fusion Brotherhood, and if you've ever heard the term, you can't outrun a bad diet, I wanted to put that to a test. Because if you can burn 1,000 calories through exercise, that's gonna give you a lot more flexibility with your nutrition. If you enjoy these type of videos, do us a huge favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, so why did I do this challenge? I did it for a few reasons. The first one was just sheer curiosity. What would it take for me to be able to burn 1,000 calories through running? Now, when I owned a boot camp, people would always ask, how many calories does this workout burn? And unfortunately, the answer is always, it depends, which I'll get to later on. But I was curious to see how long it would take me to do a run and for some sort of algorithm to tell me I burned 1,000 calories. The second reason was I'm always up for a good challenge. Now, I would not consider myself an elite runner by any means, so I was curious to see how long or how much I can kind of push myself so that if I could reach that 1,000 calorie mark or not. And then the third one of the things I preach all the time to my clients, to my friends, to my family is just if you're going for fat loss, it's much easier to control the variables when it comes to nutrition versus exercise. And I kind of wanted to put that hypothesis to the test, because if you're able to get 1,000 calories burned through exercise, like I said in the intro, it makes things with nutrition a lot easier. So those are the reasons I decided to give it a shot. So I started this challenge early in the morning. It was midsummer, so I didn't want to get hit with the hot heat, and I did accomplish it. So what I did use is I used an app called the Nike running app. There's a bunch of different ones out there, which I'll get to again later on, but the Nike running app, not affiliated, not a sponsor, just gives you the distance and the amount of calories that you're burning through a workout. So I used that one, and as you can see, I did accomplish it. It took me over an hour and 8 minutes and just over 13 kilometers. So that was the longest run I've ever done in my life, and to this day, it's still the longest run I've ever done in my life. So again, just kind of reaffirming the fact that I'm not a big long distance runner, but that's what it took for me to get the 1,000 calorie mark. Now, there are a few caveats to that. The first one is that these calorie trackers are notoriously inaccurate. Like I mentioned earlier, my boot campers always wanted to know how many calories they burned. Unfortunately, technology, we're just not at the point now where a phone is going to be able to tell you that. So I could have burned more, I could have burned less. It depends on quite a few things other than the workout itself. The bigger you are, the more calories you burn. The more inexperienced you are, the more calories you burn. So for someone who's a long distance runner, this might not be that accomplishing of a feat for them. In fact, not only would the run feel easier, but they would burn far fewer calories. The more you do something, the more your body gets into something we call metabolic adaptation, which means you get better, but you also burn fewer calories as a way to conserve energy. So long distance runners burn fewer calories because they're good at it. They're probably also smaller. Now this all probably sounds great, right? I burned 1,000 calories in just over an hour. Not a bad trade-off. But number one, it's much easier to be able to look at it than actually do it yourself. But first and foremost, I did talk initially about whether or not it was easier to control the nutrition variable or the exercise variable. And I'm gonna give you this example. So this salad I eat almost like on a semi-regular basis here, and believe it or not, this healthy salad has over 1,000 calories, and it takes me about 10 minutes to consume. So I just busted my butt trying to burn 1,000 calories through exercise, working out for longer than an hour, and then I eat this quote unquote healthy salad and basically taking all those calories within another 10 minutes. And that's using an extreme example. If I were to use burgers, fries, pizza, booze, we're talking about 1,000 calories just like that. That's basically 2 pina coladas, 2 margaritas. It's not a lot. So it's much easier to take in the calories than it is to actually burn off those calories. The second problem with this is, at least for me, it's just very unsustainable. Never mind the effort and the time alone, but it just beat my body up. Right? I told you, like the long distance runners are able to do this consistently, but they're not burning the amount of calories. So for me, it took a good half a day just to recover. I remember feeling like overheated and exhausted, my feet hurt, my ankles hurt. And then for the next several days, my whole body was rocked. I couldn't work out. And it took a lot out of me, okay? So although it looks great on a screen to be able to burn those 1,000 calories, it took a lot away from my body, and it showed you just how easy it is to take those calories back in. Okay, so to conclude, this challenge was fun. I always enjoy really pushing myself and trying new challenges, so I enjoyed it. But if we're talking about things from a purely either long-term sustainable or even fat loss approach, I do stand by my original hypothesis. It is much easier to control the nutrition aspect than it is to control the exercise aspect. Because technically, yes, you can outwork a bad diet. You can look at any professional athlete out there, but the amount of work, stress, and beating it takes on your body, in my opinion, is just not worth it. I would much rather look at the nutrition aspect and be able to adjust some smaller things with much little effort to get a much greater result. So if you enjoy doing these challenges like I do, don't do it because you think it's going to completely transform your body or it's because it's going to aid in fat loss. Do it because you like the challenge, do it because you enjoy exercise, or do it just because you think there's something curious or interesting about it, which is exactly why I tried this out myself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.